infrequently what type of materials I use for drawing, and decided to do a quick breakdown, mainly of this particular setup, because it's something I'm a little proud of. I think it's a great setup and I use it every day. I like to draw with ink, as many of you know, largely the Pentel Pocket Brush, sometimes watercolors, occasionally Sharpies, and my favorite are the Pigma Microns. And with ink especially, you can't use printer paper, and the cheap sketchbook paper that I like to use doesn't hold up. So what I do, I take a sheet of Bristol board, and I end up actually slicing it in half. So this looks pretty normal, but until you open it up, then you realize all the pieces are in half, and the back as well. So what I do, I take each individual sheet out of the stack, and then I slice it in half. I have a little slicer I use for that, and that gives you a much more workable surface area. Lets you actually take them out with ease. I have a small clipboard I like to attach them to, and it lets you just sort of have easy double-sided workable paper. The second thing I do for that is I actually take the what remains of the shell of the Bristol board. Because it's glued at the top, I like to go over it a second time and just tape it back together. So the back here, I reattach it. Then I fold the front cover over on itself, down the middle. So what you end up with is a piece of half a sheet of cardboard that's the same size as your cut sheets, and a piece of thick cardstock that you can use for the front. Then I just take the other half as the back and use that to sandwich my papers together. So now I've got a stack of nicely sized, easily workable Bristol that I can cut out. It's easy to shoot photos for Instagram and things like that. It fits between the two cardboard halves that you're done with to keep everything from getting bent and wrinkled. And then you just double over the front cover on itself. And you have a little folio that you can store your stuff in. Plus, if you feel like getting fancy, you can decorate the front. I had one previously that I did over with duct tape. Made it a little bit more durable and just looked nicer. And it just makes it really easy to work with thicker paper, not have to worry about a sketchbook. I'm not a fan of regular hardbound sketchbooks because you get that crease in the middle where you sort of can't draw. The same thing occurs when you use a composition notebook of any kind. You get this bump in the middle that sort of fills in, and it gets hard to get up against there, especially if you're drawing on the back side of the page. So I don't like to use that. But with this, you've got the full sheet. You want to work with it, you just take it out, rest it on here, and now you have a hard surface that you can rotate your drawing surface on without too much trouble. So even if you don't have a hard surface to draw on, you'll always have one that's perfectly sized and not in the way, and the inside folio protects your sheets so the corners don't get bent. As you can see, all my corners are nice and crisp now because of that. And one thing I was doing until I realized it was just more of a hassle than it was worth was I would rubber band the whole thing closed. You just stretch an elastic band around the top and the bottom to keep this front cover from coming undone. But since I keep mine in my backpack, I don't really have that trouble. So this is largely what I use for most of my drawing these days. Bristol board is a little bit pricier than the regular sketchbook paper, but it takes a while to go through. It's nice and sturdy, it's easy to photograph, you get a nice even lighting, and if you want, you can go at it with watercolor. You have to use a little bit of a thinner layer than you're normally used to, but it will hold watercolor and other wet media. So this is largely what I use for drawing. I hope this helps somebody out there, and yeah, thanks for watching.